Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is going to be a crafting video. I was literally ready to say Happy Easter, but it's not Easter because I brought out the yarn that I wanted to, the two that I wanted to cast on, but that'll be next week. So that's okay because I made progress on my Olympian sweater, the little hammer. I'm so sorry about the pronunciation. Um, I did start on the color work. So right now it's in this baby roll bag, and I love baby roll. And for my hair, this was probably the hair that I wore the most, or styled it like early college. So there were different hairstyles over the years that I went for. There's actually a flower in my hair just because I don't have clips right now, but the flower was the only clip that I had. It has something attached to it, so I guess like it technically counts, um but in my head it didn't count that much. So I could do a little bit of knitting. Like I literally had a plan to talk and cast on, but I did bring out one of the library books that I talked about too. It's kind of already here and there. In general, it's a crafting video. I tried to come on here in a way for emotional supporting company, so hopefully um, it's not boring. Because I was also thinking maybe I could do my flashcards here too. And I know like people might just think, why would I want to watch you make flashcards? It's kind of like when you're on the phone with somebody. Like I would do this with my friends a lot. Like we would call each other and just go about our day doing whatever needed to be done while they were on the phone. So it's kind of like that. And I'm making a video while being productive. I could knit on this for a portion of the video too. So this is the progress. And I love the gentle contrast that this will have. Once I knit more of it, you'll be able to see it. But this was a journey for to get to this point, and I am in the a little more than halfway into a round, but this is what it looks like. And once I knit more of the color work, you'll see it, more of it without it rolling as much. So with this, and with a lot of times, it's definitely important to read the, well, it didn't have it in the directions, but a lot of times with older patterns, especially like the European patterns, they don't give a lot of directions because they assume that you know how to do the things in the pattern. So I'll just say that with this chart, I was thinking without counting it, because sometimes, a lot of times, they have the numbers for how many stitches are there, but this one doesn't. So I was thinking, okay, it has the same amount on each in each chart, and it doesn't. And I'm knitting to a certain point to get to the size. So this is the place where you'll stop. So this is page 4 and page 5, and then you'll continue to this, starting at the size that you're doing and going on. And you might think, well, Adrian, that seems like something that you could do. And I'm like, yes, that is something that you could do. Um, but because I didn't see how many stitches were on each chart, I wasn't seeing where the design would be, and um, I'm not sure about what the count I was thinking of, but you're knitting the pattern twice because this, both pages 4 and 5, they're one side, so you're doing two sides, the front and the back. Another thing, because of where it stops, because a lot of patterns, when you knit in the rounds, the pattern just goes like round and round. This one has a specific detail on the sides of your garment where it's almost like it looks like a seam design. So it kind of has it like a stop and go where once you get to that point, like you can um, complete a section of like one side. I say section, and I'll explain it in a second. Once you finish that section, it seams off or cuts off that pattern and then starts the section or pattern over again in a way. Um, so in the beginning, going back to the first one, there's a marking here and it says center stitch for body, which is the second stitch. And it kind of was a little reminiscent, but it's not the same as like the free pattern for the Maya cardigan. The first Maya cardigan is like a medium weight because I believe it's medium weight or around that worsted. Um, because there's a Maya cardigan light that is a paid for pattern that the knitwear designer came out with recently. I knit the hat version of it and I love that pattern. Um, so with that marking, the reason why it reminded me of that is because in that pattern you knit that stitch and then for the remaining of the pattern you don't knit that stitch, so it is specific. And there are different knitters that like do walkthroughs of that pattern, because there's some like specific things, because if you don't follow the pattern the way that it would say for the color work isn't something where I get you can technically you can do whatever you want, but if you try to like fudge it it's not like a super fudgeable type of technique because you're like basically painting or knitting the yard like as if you're making a picture. So you'll see the thing that you modified. Um, so it wasn't the same because you're not starting off with that second stitch. It's just like I guess to say it and then maybe further on into the pattern. And I did read the pattern a couple times to like see where it was going, and I um, wasn't getting those details. So I'll say what it says for the body. So body for models B, C, and E use main color. So the that's like the section for the color suggestions on the first page. So this came in like a whole packet of different patterns, and um, it's isolating models A and D because those main colors are the natural colors, or for what I'm seeing it as, using the contrast color and the smaller needles, contrast color 1 and smaller needles, and you're casting on whatever number of stitches you're doing because there's different sizes, working the round. Um, I guess I don't have to go through all of like the directions here, but I'll just go through the body since I already said I was going to. Work, knit 1, purl 1 for the ribbing for 2 1/4 of inches and or 6 centimeters, and increase on last round the amount of stitches for your size evenly spaced. Change to larger circular needles. Place a marker at beginning of round after the halfway point of this, and that'll be your stitch marker. Work pattern 1, note reverse main color and contrast color 1 on graphs model A and D, so that would be applicable to what I'm doing since the main color for my pattern or for my sweater is going to be the natural color. Begin pattern as shown on graph, stop at sidewalk marker, and beginning again as shown on graph. And I'll talk about that, of what I did for these directions. Shown on graph in order to make pattern uniform on front and back. Work main color until body measures approximately 10 1/4 or 26 centimeters to 28 centimeters for the different sizes, or 30 to 30 or 32. Stopping after 6th round of main pattern, repeat. Work pattern 2, note for models A and D. Last round of pattern 2 is the main color, and contrast color 1 is shown on graph. When pattern 2 is complete, body should measure approximately to that size that you're doing. Work pattern 3 as C graph for sleeve, note reverse main color and contrast color on graph models A and D. Begin front back shaping now. So I said a bunch of things. Sorry if you were just like, I have no idea where this is going. So it was saying to do the halfway mark for your pattern, which I did. So I did do the halfway mark, but I also added the side marks because the side marks are the places, and I found that it was interesting because it didn't say to do the side markers, and I felt like that would have been more helpful, and I'm not one to just like mark my mark a lot of places on my projects, but I felt like that was something that would make it like a smoother process because it starts with, as I was saying, and as the pattern says, the center. You're starting at the center like here, the first mark, which is the first ending point on the first page, where to the size that you're doing, that's where the seam is going to be. And that is like the different part of the pattern that you'll make note of. And then the next marked one is like the halfway point. So the halfway point basically completes the whole chart. So I marked the two seams like on the sides. And what else I felt like it was important? So there's different sections, and I don't know if this is helpful for people that are doing this pattern because I'm probably going to be talking about other stuff too, but just to say in the beginning of this video is talking about the Olympian sweater. Official Dale sweater pattern for the 1994 design. And like what I showed, I'm up to here at this part. I'm still on the pattern 1, and then once I get to the main pattern, in this section that's marked here, I'm going to knit that for however many inches I need for the size that I'm doing, and then after that, after I'm repeating it for those inches, I'm gonna start knitting the top portion, and that'll be the two. So it is a garment that has more stitches, I would say, and this is also a unisex pattern. So I did a size up from what I normally do for those patterns. And I don't think I would mind that much, just because again it's a 2, and then you'll do your steeking at the top, you'll do your shaping, um, and attach your sleeves. So I actually ripped back like 4 rounds, and you might think, well, 4 rounds isn't too much. But with the size that I'm doing, each round is 290 stitches. I was doing this like last night. This was supposed to be like my chill out, relaxing time, but I didn't give up, and I was like, I want to have this sweater. And I had to see like, what am I doing that's making the count inaccurate? Because I was trying different things to see how I would get the count correct. And I feel like it was just like a matter of counting the stitches. I might write that in the Ravelry notes for my project, because I have a project page like you do on Ravelry, and it shows like the list of projects, and you can write the yarn that you're using, um, how maybe you modified it, or what you figured out, um, just the things that might be helpful, or the needles that you used. So I feel that now it'll still be a process. I would say maybe around 4 to 5 months this will be complete. It might be less than that, but just because the type of construction that it has. I feel like more modern patterns, they have less stitches for the body, and then you increase, if you're knitting bottom up, increase for the armholes, and then you'll do the upper body and like the shoulders, everything. So this will just be the same throughout until after I get past this part of it. But I'm really loving the way that it's turning out. I actually have, well, I have the yarn with me of what I'm using. So majority of the yarn is Ukrainian yarn. So I have these, and I could see this is kind of getting smaller, which I'm kind of excited about. Kind of, I'm like, I hope it doesn't get too small because I feel like well, I will order at some point, but um, I have another one of these to get me going for a while. Then I have three of the natural because I felt like natural would be nice to have just because it's like a staple for the type of knitting that I do since I do a lot of color work that it's always good to have on hand. And the pattern that Teti is coming out with, it's coming out in May. I really wanted to knit on it. The last two projects I wanted to do the test knit on, but I'm just thinking like I think it's a good sign because like there will be more patterns that I'll want to knit or test knit for the future. But I am going to get this one. So this is based off of like the pisanki or the decorated eggs. And I really wanted to do this one and the last one. I wanted to do the last one too. But I'm gonna get the patterns. It's coming out in May. And it'll be interesting because I saw that she was using Plotalopi. I don't have Plotalopi. I don't have other yarn like Plotalopi either, but it is a sport weight, so I feel like I could use the Ukrainian yarn. There are other yarns that I want to get, like when I make my next order. I want to get, well, more of this one. There's a navy blue of this size, uh, a red, and I do have red here, but I really like having all of the yarn like the same. It's really nice, and it makes the knit really predictable in a way where the yarn just has a lot of consistency with it, even though this is hand spun yarn. Um, it's like coming from the same source. So I also saw that there's a light gray. I was thinking of getting a couple of light gray because I do like wearing gray. There's this other gray sweater that I wanted to redo. So um, I'll I feel like I'll get that. There's a lot that I would like to get, but it's also because it's so inexpensive. But with the red, I want to do it with the dark gray, and the dark gray kind of looks like a charcoal. It might look lighter in person, I don't know, but it would be a contrast regardless. I wanted to do those two colors for the Pisalki um, sweater. I feel like that's a short sleeve too, so I feel like maybe I would just get one of the red and two of the dark gray, three of the light gray, one of the cream, maybe just to have on hand, and then two of the, would I do two of the yellow and blue? And then there's the smaller ones. So I have this left of the blue. I made a hat with this. I really love the way that it knit up. Um, I didn't. These are smaller and they're more expensive. They do feel a little different, but I don't mind working with these. Like I feel like it is a little bit more rustic, but I don't mind it. I like rustic yarn, so for me that's not a bad thing. Um, but this one has other colors that they don't have in stock right now. I think because they have a lot of sales, and there was this light green one that I wanted to do or wanted to get. Um, and I feel like green is very specific in different areas because I love wearing more of an olive green. I think it goes with my complexion. But I feel like in other countries, like the European countries, their greens tend to be on like the mintier side, maybe. I feel like I have an example. I do have an example of what I noticed with like those with the greens, but I saw that one that I wanted to try. I wanted to try the different colors just in general because I feel like I'll knit a lot of projects, especially garments with that type of yarn because I really had no issues at all in terms of like how hot it is to knit on different things here. Like I have some projects like on hold because I have just have I haven't been wanting to knit on it. I have one next to me that I literally have the body done and I just have to do the sleeves and the top. So I'll show that in a second. I know that there is a black yarn for the Ukrainian yarn. Maybe I could get that. But if there's the charcoal one or like the dark gray, I feel like that'll go with the red. Um, so I don't think I, maybe not the next time. But there's already a big list of like yarn I want to get from them. And the purple, I really want to try the purple. So the green and the purple, I like that with the blue. There isn't the blue available. At least that the one that I have. But I really like the way that it turned out. And they're just shades that I don't usually see here, so it feels really refreshing to knit on them because the palette just seems, of course, they're colors that I would go for because I picked them, but they're colors that I don't see super often. Like of course, I see like light blues, but um, with the shades, like collectively and individually too, they're just they they don't seem like the yarns that I get too much here. So I have the other contrast colors that I added on because I am using 5 different ones. So I still have this one attached. I just have to do one more round of this and then that's it. Like I needed, well, the pattern calls for 50 grams of the three other contrast colors after contrast color one. So this one is from a fiber festival. I actually have two of these, and I was trying to save it for like a garment. And I was thinking like, Adrian, you don't even have enough to make like have it be the main color most likely unless you're like really cropping a sweater or um like you just have two skeins of them because that's how much was there at the festival. So it's hand dyed yarn, it's dirt floor fibers and smoky plum, and these both of them are DK weights. So, and I could tell you that I enjoy fancy yarns, but and I'm not saying anything like why would he, why would you just knit on, whatever. But I prefer getting these types of yarns. I like the natural feeling of them, but this is also great too. It was $25 per hank because it's hand dyed, and the people like do all the things. So the price varies, and I mean people do all the things with this too. So I don't know, but it's definitely more pricey for this yarn, and it's a super wash, but I don't mind using super wash for contrast colors. I mainly use non-super wash or natural untreated type of wool for like the body. I feel like that is more predictable for me knowing what to expect in terms of how the fibers will react, mainly how the fibers will be after washing them, because the fibers will react to when you wash and block it, but I feel like it's more of what you see is what you get, because you'll see that it maintains the shape that it's in, and for me, I think that that's important. Well, I really like that for superwash a lot of times, and it's like you could say or argue like it depends on what you're using. So there's different factors, but in general, I feel that like superwash tends to be um, it tends to stretch or like um, the the results are different than how you see it when you're knitting it. So I do like when the wool relaxes and it'll be um, more uniform for the for after washing and blocking. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'll make progress. I feel like I have brought this to class to knit on because we have like a 20-minute break since the class is 4 hours. So I'm just enjoying how the colors are coming out, and the blue is really popping. The pattern itself is so detailed that I don't mind it being like a delicate or like more of a gentle contrast, you definitely see the color contrast. So I'm really excited for it. I don't mind um the drastic contrast that the original one has, but I'll be really happy with the way that it turns out with the palette. So the other color that I have, this was a sale yarn, and it's the Stratosphere in Meteorite. It's also a DK yarn, and this is a non-superwash. So I do really like this too. For the Ukrainian yarn, I know it's for US 4 knitting needle. I feel like it's a sport. And I feel that it like varies because I've seen different yarns, different companies, and they have different needle suggestions. US 2.5 to 4. So I would say that's a sport weight. So DK is um after that. Let's see what the other one is. And it was comfortable. I even knit with like US 2 needles on it, and it was nice for that. And then I went up to a US 4 for the colorwork portion. It's the same thing for the smaller skein. So, really excited for it. The other project that has been on hiatus is the Sariola. And it's so weird because it doesn't usually take me a long time to do sleeves. I just haven't been knitting on this. I feel like like the last time I knit on it, I did literally one section and I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I was thinking, should I just do what I would normally do if I didn't feel like doing it, which is to just add stitches to the body and then knit down for the sleeves. So I finished the body a while ago. I don't even know when I finished it, but um, I really want it. Not like I need it right now, of course, but it's a cardigan. I'm making it into a cardigan. So this is where I'm going to cut and pick up stitches for the button bands. Oh, and I'll show the green, and I'll talk about the book because it was towards the end of one of the videos, and I just didn't. So just to say, I have this green, and this is like a shade of green that I would see. So it's the just cotton, but it's 85% cotton and 15% polyester. This is the Dollar Tree yarn, and I've knit with the Dollar Tree yarn. I like the way that it knits, but I have to be careful because it bleeds. So I have more of the blue. I saw more of the blue. Um, I also have this cream colorway, and it's different because there's a cream and a white. So this is actually really fun. I might want to knit something springy. Like, I don't know what I would want to knit on, but maybe I can knit a hat with it. Who knows? This is 50 grams. Is it? They're 50-gram skeins, so I only have one of this, but I feel like that should be plenty for a hat. I don't know why I said only, but I'm starting to look more into different shades of green, and that just feels, I don't know what word I was trying to say. It seems like a nice shade to knit, because I've never knit a shade like that. So I also have this book. I don't know if I'll go like super deeply into it, and then I feel like I'll knit a little at the end because it's gonna be like mainly talking about the book, but I don't think you would want to hear me read a whole book. Um, so I'll get back to the different proteins and the science of the fibers. That's what it has. But I just wanted to quickly mention the drafting methods. And this goes into like choosing your fleece and the preparation. So there's different visuals, directions that'll show you how to use the different tools. This looks like the Valkyrie combs, if I'm not mistaken. There's different types of brushes that you can use. And this is what I have. So it does go into the mechanics of the wheel. I could read that section. And then there's more here. So for the wheel mechanics, spinning wheels are combinations of several simple mechanisms, mostly the lever, wheel, and pulley. Although spinners often use their own terminology to discuss wheels, understanding the scientific principles behind them can help you use the wheel to your advantage. When you drive the wheel, the drive band turns one or more pulleys. Spinners usually call the pulleys whirls, but the term refers to the component of the hand spindle which serves a different function. the size of the pulley on the spinning wheel actually works more than like the shaft diameter of the spindle. If in single drive systems such as those with Scotch or Irish tension, the drive wheel turns only one pulley, either on the bobbin or the flyer. The brake or tension is applied to the other and is used to adjust the drafting in speed. This is the most common way of adjusting the draw in or take up of the yarn being spun. In double drive systems, one drive band turns the wheel pulley on the flyer and the bobbin. The closer in diameter these pulleys are, the less drafting in speed. In both systems, increasing the tension of the drive band, increasing the drafting in speed. So there's a section on plied yarns, cables, and novelty yarns. So you do see more of the different ways that you can see it plied, but there's also the way that you would normally see it plied here too. And why ply? I'm a firm believer in plying as a spinner's default position. Do it unless you really have a good reason not to. In size caused by diameter change in the yarn, in texture caused by firm believer in size because diameter change plying spinners. That's for next section. So there's like the strength, consistency, efficiency, stability, knitting and weaving performance, and they're talking about why it's important to ply your yarn, and those sections would give those reasonings. Visual appearance, preparing for consistency. So there are different plying methods here. And then it goes into more detail. So in terms of like the micron crimp length, and then the finishing of your yarn. I hope it's not too like boring for reading this. I would like to read more of it. I actually have one assignment today, which I'm a little, well, it's whatever at this point, but I finished all of my well, what I could finish on Saturday, but there was one assignment that was locked until Sunday. And I'm like, but what if I didn't want to have that and I just wanted to finish everything ahead of time? Not like I was going to take a day off for doing the work. I was going to try to um, do more work for the next sections that I could do ahead of time and then do the um, do the index cards. Sorry. Maybe I'll read one section on the animal. Maybe I'll talk about goat fibers. And then I'll just knit for the rest of the video because I don't know if this is turning into just like me reading something and I feel like it's interesting, but I don't know um, if other people are just like, Asia, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, learning the different fibers is really fun, and I think that'll be fun to just get into. So, wool fibers. Like the use of wool from sheep, the use of goat fibers go back to prehistory, domesticated from the wild goats of the Himalayas. Some 9,000 years ago, goats developed in the same general area of Asia Minor as sheep and spread in similar patterns. Goats produce different fibers for spinning. In many countries, hair from a wide variety of goats is used to make ropes, tents, and rugs. It makes a wonderful rug or mohair, the silky, lustrous fiber of the Angora goats. That's what the animal I just showed. The mohair or Angora goat. Um, Silky, lustrous fiber of the Angora goats is used in carpets, upholstery, clothing, and well, especially coats and suits and knitting yarns. Cashmere, a fiber that comes from several different goats, is one of the true luxury fibers and is used to produce both weaving and knitting yarns. So I'm I'm really interested. That's like one of the main reasons why I got this book because I wanted to read about the different fibers. So I'm gonna read more of it and then hopefully like if I bring up the book again I could um, just say more things with more of an explanation instead of me being surprised because I'm reading it for the first time because I haven't been doing much of other things aside from doing the assignments. Well, the past week I didn't have assignments. So just this section, we have the halfway point, which means it's a little less than halfway. I think this made me excited to knit more because I've been wanting to knit another garment, but I didn't want to knit on a garment that I would just put down like the other garments that I started on the East Coast that I felt were really warm. Oh. Sorry. Almost there. Luckily for this round, it's going every other color. So I'm about to be at the halfway point. And when I say halfway point, it's center front and center back, not side to side. As I said, it starts with the center front, or the second stitch is technically center front. Let me just see. And I just make sure that I'm ending on the right stitch, even though I can argue that it is basically the same for that section. Because when you do the seams, you're doing two of the same, you're reflecting the seam instead of making the pattern in the round at like flowing without it interrupting itself. And then I'll get into the plum color, which is good so that I could cut it. And then I'll go into the blue again, and then I'll just be I'll just use the main color and contrast color one, so the natural, and this is technically a golden or light orange, as it says on the Etsy shop. So since it's an hour, I'll stop the video. Hopefully it wasn't boring. Um, and if maybe the Olympian sweater, like, it can be information that's useful, or if you're not knitting, you'll still want to hear it. But I just feel like it's nice that I am doing a size up. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this type of modification in the future for my garments. A little different, but I like the fit of my garments, and I wear all of the garments that I knit up. So I was thinking maybe for cardigans, I would adjust the numbers for the body, mainly because when you're buttoning it up, or if you want to like have like it buttoned just in case, or not buttoned, I don't know, depending on how you're feeling, I would like a little more room around my hips, but it fits in general. Like if I'm making a regular garment, I'm okay with it. And I knit a lot of cropped ones too, and I like the way that those fit a lot. Um, the ones that are full length, I think that they're fun to have, but for the cardigans, I could also just adjust the body as I separate for the sleeves and the body, because like the I like the two for the body. And it does, there isn't like a problem with it closing, but I don't really want it to like get damaged, because I tend to like my garments fitted. So I actually got to the side seam, so I know it's going to reflect, but I keep looking at it just in case, because I do not want to rip back or anything. So thank you guys so much for watching. I did a little bit, but I am so happy because I love, as I said, I love knitting garments. And this feels really comfortable. It doesn't feel like overbearingly hot. And I'm not saying all the other yarn is like that too, but it's noticeably warm on my hands. It's wool, but it's not nearly as like you don't really feel the heat on it as much. Really breathable. So again, I'm sorry for the 10th time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye.